So today we're going to do something very simple, and it's a little technique to create a very, very simple card, but you use your interference ink pads and you use your solid black ink pad, and of course you use that wonderful embossing folder. So let's start from the beginning. We'll talk through the ink pads. So I'm coming in first of all with a piece of white cardstock, and I'm also going to bring in my ulti-mate tool, and I'm going to bring it in with the tacky mat on the top of it. So, and we'll bring in our tacky mat, and we've actually, underneath our tacky mat, we have put our foam mat, which comes with our stamping tool. Okay, so just for today, to give me the sturdiness underneath, I'm just going to pop that there. So our tacky mat, as many of you already know, is what it says. It is tacky, and when you lift it up, it comes with this sheet, which is almost like a guide for you if you want to do any kind of rotating, lining up, etc. But we don't need that one today. And it's also great for keeping your tacky mat covered when not in use, and it's got the holes in that sit on the pegs as well. But today we only need to use our tacky mat without that. Now the tacky mat is, I haven't even washed mine. It does need a good wash, so it's not ultra sticky today, and I can put my hands down and it doesn't feel tacky. But when I put my card down, the card doesn't move. So it's really handy to have when you're doing your inking, you need a spare hand, or you have got a small area, or you're doing small die cuts as well. That's another time this comes into play. So what we'll do is we'll take this piece of card, we're going to trim it down a little. I'm going to have to use my Spellbinders paper trimmer, guillotine. I love this guillotine. It is my new favorite guillotine. Now my cardstock, let me move that out of the way just a second, just so I can get a flat surface here. Now my cardstock isn't straight, so I'm going to straighten it by cutting one edge, and then I'm going to bring along that like so, and then I'm going to turn that around. So all our four edges are the same, and this is going to allow me to, when I want to resize it, like I will shortly, I know all my edges will be square. And then I'm going to look at this and decide how big I want the piece of card. I don't want it too big. This is actually a 5x7 folder, but I don't want it completely that size. So I'm going to trim it down to 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches. So we'll go 10 centimeters, and then we'll keep this to 14 centimeters, which is, if I come down here, around 5.5. Okay, so it's quite a nice size. It's not a particularly standard size. It's just something I've chosen because I quite like the size of that cardstock. So let's bring in our embossing folder. This is the large rose bloom, and we're going to use that in a second. So let's pop that here. Let's bring back in our mats, and I will show you a cute little technique how to use our inks with our cardstock and our embossing folder. I'm going to bring in some blending tools. So I've got my ink blending foam and my ink blending tool. So we get 4 heads in here, which I think is enough, and we get the tool. So we're going to use these today. They are available on our website. So let's remove these 2 spare heads. So here's our 2 heads, and we're going to start with our lemon candy. Now, for those of you who don't use our interference ink pads, they are very different to any other ink on the market. And when I say that, it's because they are a colour changing ink. So when you use them on white card and black card, you get a completely different result every single time. I'll give you a quick demonstration on what I mean. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of card here, a white card and black card, just so you can see how the process works. And when I pop the ink onto my sponge, I literally press it in so we get a really good coverage on that sponge. And when I use this on the white card, you will see that beautiful lemon colour. See, that's beautiful and bright. And when I use it on the black card, you'll see this shortly, and if I lift that up, you'll see it needs to dry a little bit, but you'll see that it's pink. You can see the pink around the edge, that's for sure. So the same ink pad, different colours, and that one is our lemon candy. And you'll see from all of these ink pads here, they're going to give you kind of the same result, as in, if you see the left hand side is yellow, and we've got yellow here. The right hand side is a pinky colour, and we've got the pink here. Yeah. So you're going, this one you're going to get on the white card, you're going to get the blue, and on a darker card you will get the purple, and on white card here you'll get the pink, and you'll get the bluey purple on your dark card there. So it just goes to show the different colours you can get from 3 ink pads. So these inks dry very quickly, but when they're mixed together they blend beautifully. So when the colour starts to run out on here, I don't panic, I just leave it as it is, and then I bring in more ink and it will literally reignite the ink that's underneath. So I'm actually going to use the pink next, the Tropical Paradise, and this one again, beautiful. So I'm going to lift that around here, and I'm going to come in with that pink, and we're going to go over some of that yellow. Now I'm not going to stress whether we've got perfect blending or not. This is not what this technique is about. You don't need any kind of blending at all really. And we're going to pop our ink in random places. So you can see in the middle here, it's not blended very well. I've literally left it as it is, but what you can see is that shimmer coming through as well. So I'm going to pop that down there, and I'm going to pop some more pink over here. And I'm not worrying about anything. This is really, honestly, the easiest technique in the world. I'm going to bring that yellow in just a little bit more here, but the reason I'm doing it is because I want some yellow in the middle, and it will become clear in a second. So we've got some white spaces here. So what we're now going to do is change the lid, change the top of our tool, and we're going to bring in a different colour, well, a clean one, which allows us to use a different colour. So I'll pop that down like so. So now that's adhered to my tool, and we're going to come in with the Peacock Tails. So the Peacock Tails is quite a vibrant colour. So that's the reason I left it to last, because we can kind of add this in the gaps rather than trying to put a pink and a yellow over the top. I turn that way, and we'll come off the page a bit, and we'll come in with the, and what it's going to do, it's going to turn some of that pink purple, do you see what I mean? And it's going to turn some of the yellow green. And as I say, this isn't a blending exercise. This is just getting that ink onto that card. And I'm going to come in here, and you can see what I've done. Look at that. I've literally almost made a hot mess. When you look at that, you think, what is she doing? Now, do not worry about any of this. This is part of the process. And what I will do is I will give my tacky mat a mist. If you wanted to, you could grab another piece of cardstock and mop up some of that. But today, I'm just going to take a wet wipe, which is actually an old wet wipe, which is dry and used. But I'd like to reuse wet wipes as many times as I can. And you'll see all that colour has come off of there. And what I'm going to get you to do now is cover this up, and I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. This actually comes with your ulti-mate, but for today I'm using a spare one I had, and we'll add this into our embossing folder. So the plan now is to have the detail facing up and your card facing down. Okay, and you're going to pop the lid on. I'm now going to get my die cutting machine, and I am going to use my Spellbinders Platinum. This is not the one that has the adapter plate. This is the one, literally, you remove one plate and you put your folder in. Mine's a little squeaky, but it's loved and, you know, works perfectly. So we'll run that through, and you'll see that the emboss is on the reverse. Let's see if you can see that. So that's the reverse, and the deboss is on this side. Now you can't see so much at the moment, but you will shortly. So what we're now going to do is take the side of that emboss. Let's bring the black card in. Take the side of the embossing folder that is recessed. So you kind of, it's the deboss side. So it's the side that's going into the card. And we're going to take some black ink. Now my black ink will probably stain this folder, so you can use a dye-based ink or something that isn't going to stain. But for me, for the technique and the result I want, this is what we're going to use. So I take the black ink, let's actually turn this around, and I'm only putting the black card underneath so you can see what I'm doing. As I start to put the ink on, I will move it away. And I'm going to swipe across the top so it's going to hit all of those high points. And there isn't that many, to be fair, but there's enough. So we're going to take our ink and we're going to keep doing that until we've covered as many high points as we want. Some areas that it's picking up and some that it isn't. So let's move that out of the way. You'll see what I mean. Can you see now? It's picking up the detail. And I'm actually kind of squishing it in because I want to get more of the black showing through than if I was just light-handed with this. And pop the ink on this side. So I'm going to show you like two techniques here. So you've got the ink on this side. So you're going to get that detail coming through there. And then we're going to ink the other side as well. And this gives you the choice. So you then can pick which one you prefer. So we've got the one that's got the little smattering of ink, which was the reverse. And then we're also going to do the one that has all of the ink, which is the front. So this is the first way of doing this technique, and I'm going to show you another way so you can make choices about how you do this. It's very clever. I'm going to actually leave my machine there. Let's leave that there just for a minute. Move the card out of the way. Let's bring you in like that. Okay, we've still got plenty of room. We'll turn that back around. Let's have a look now. So now, when I lift this up, you've got all that detail etched into that rose. Can you see that? So you've got a tiny amount of ink, but a lot of kind of definition in the colour. So that's one side. So now we can ink this side as well. And then what we'll do is we'll pop this one back in. So if I leave that there for now, I'll actually fit into the groove. So that's fitted back into its groove. And then what we're going to do is ink this side as well. Now there's plenty of ink on here already, but this is going to be beautiful because you're going to see kind of the different looks you can get from inking which side you ink. Make sure that's covered. And then we'll lift this over like so. You don't have to do it this way. This is just one of the ways. We'll show you the other way, as I said, in just a minute. And we'll run that through. And you can see how beautiful this is as well. Now, I think it needs more ink. So I'm going to go in and do it again. You don't have to. You can make your choices if you like it as it is or not. But I do like giving lots of detail to this folder. The thing is about it is it's got so much fine detail in it. It doesn't always pick up all of the elements first time. So back in. Now you have to remember that your folder will get dirty, but it is a piece of plastic. It's not going to affect its use. And we will lift this out and pop this to one side a second. I'll show you properly. But what I want to do is pop that in here. Pop that there, and let's make sure all of those edges are clean so it doesn't go all over your machine. So now what we're going to do is bring this back in, and you can see now how gorgeous this looks. Now if I hold this up to the light, see if you can get that shimmer. I think you can. And then on the reverse, what a completely different look. So if I take my black cardstock now, this is going to sit on here, and it's also going to sit beautifully like so. So this is beautiful and shiny because that interference is still coming through. Now I'm just going to use a tape runner for this, but if I was doing this for a gift, I would probably use a wet glue. That's very beautiful. And then we'll trim that off. And if you pop it onto a white card blank, you can now see what a beautiful, beautiful card that is. All you would do now is pop a sentiment on and you are good to go. So that's the first way of doing that kind of technique. Let me show you the second way. So I'm going to leave the die cutting machine here, and I'm going to leave the plates around because we're going to need those as well. But we do need another piece of cardstock. I'm just bringing another piece of white card, and I'm going to use the same colour inks again, but this time I'll ink the folder, and we'll have a look at the result we get when we ink the folder rather than inking the cardstock. So when I look now, I'm going to be totally random with this again. I'm going to pick up my favourite 3 colours, and we'll come in with that yellow first of all. Now be aware, make sure this is lovely and clean because you don't want to get any of the black on here. Now I'm literally going around in a circle into those crevices to get all of that detail. Now you can do this any way you like. I just think this is quite a cool technique. And we'll come in with the pink, with our pink sponge, and we'll come around the edge, and the kind of the yellow, the orange, and then pink. So it's going to look very, very pretty. And I'm going to press in a little bit. And then just on those final edges, we'll bring that blue in. So let's take our sponge off, and we'll again turn that over, and we'll grab the sponge and we'll pop the blue all around that edge. And sometimes you think you haven't put a lot of colour on, but when you run it through, you get more colour than you think you're going to. Now you could do just a small area. You don't have to do the whole thing. I'm just doing the whole thing, and then that's changed that a little bit. So we've now got pink and blue and purple. And then all I'm going to do, I would normally do this on a watercolour card, but I'm just going to do it on a regular cardstock just for today. But I would say probably a watercolour card might be better. Give her a little mist with a spray bottle, and then pop your card inside. Now always cut your card down to size, and then we can pop that inside there. Pop the lid down, and then we will use our machine again, and we will run that through. Now that has used the water as well, and it's created that gorgeous, I mean, look at that. If I bring that close, you can see you've got your water reactive techniques going on there as well. So that came out of there. Okay, so that's sat there. So we know that's the side the ink is. So there we need to put some more colour. We can put some black on that side. And then now we can leave our detail there, and we can bring that black in again, and we can pop that black over the top here, inking all of those areas, and get a really cool effect. Now the card's nice and stable in there because it's attached to the emboss, and then we'll pop that into the folder and into the die cutting machine like so. So this way you kind of get a more muted tone rather than going directly to the card. This is a more muted look. Look at that. So a completely different feel to the other one, but you still get that interference coming through. Can you see that? So I've just trimmed that down just a little bit, and we can try a piece of black card and a piece of white card. So you can now see if you do your matte and layer on the white card, it's quite fresh. But I think the black card is going to make this pop. So we're going to pop this onto our black card, and I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to pop the tape on the back. So just using a tape runner. And as I said, if I were posting this, I would probably add a little bit of wet glue as well. So there we go. So that is the second one. And you can see now how pretty that one looks. And we'll pop these together in just a second. That's the one that's had the folder inked. And this is the one that has the cardstock inked and is the negative. So it doesn't at points even resemble a rose. It could be just a gorgeous background. Can you see that? Look at the difference. It's exactly the same folder, but you've got the front and the back here. So you can see here, this little piece that comes down like so is actually this little piece that's embedded inside that way. And again, that piece here is that piece here. So it's very, very clever, but what completely different looks. So that's my project for today. 2 ideas for you, 2 very different ideas, 2 very beautiful ideas. That's using my large rose bloom my solid black ink pad, 3 of my interference inks, and literally a couple of blending sponges. So I hope you enjoyed that. Try it out with different colours. Try it out with all your embossing folders. Try how it looks when you ink on the folder, and try how it looks when you ink on the cardstock, and see the different results you get. So this one is inked onto card, and then the black popped back into the folder, and then the ink that is black is placed onto the folder, and then when you squash the two together, that's the result. This one we inked inside the folder, and actually we inked on the embossed side of this folder, and then we left that in the folder, opened the folder and put some black ink on top and squashed it back together to get this result. But give it a go of inking the different sides of your folders and see the results you get. You could pop a little sentiment on there, and you can create some awesome cards with very few products and very simple techniques.